Hello, my name is Tiara Adams, and I'm going to talk about what I've learned about communicating with your coworkers or your colleagues. One thing I learned about communicating with your coworker is that you have to know how to talk to someone. You have to know how to talk to your coworkers. You don't want to talk to your coworker in a rude manner or anything that might give off a negative vibe about you. So you want to make sure that you're talking to your coworker in a polite manner, no attitudes or anything like that. Um, the way that you talk to your coworker, it can say a lot about you. The patients, they'll look at you, they'll look at you, and they'll see how the dental office runs their practice because of how their patient, not their patient, but they'll see how their um, workers communicate with each other. You got to know how to communicate with each other. And they can tell when the patient can tell when something is off in the dental office. They can tell that the harmony is off in the dental office. And so when the co-workers are not getting along with each other, they're not communicating with each other, the patient might not even want to come back to that dental office. So it really does matter if you're communicating with your coworkers or if you're getting along with your coworkers. Um, Another thing that I learned is teamwork. You have to have teamwork. You have to be a team player. Um, another a way to be a team player is to be able to communicate with your coworkers. If your coworkers do not know what's going on, then there's no dialogue, no communication about what's going on in the dental office. No one's talking to each other. The patient may sense that there might be some tension against certain coworkers in the dental office. And so you got to make sure that you establish teamwork with your coworker as well. You have to be flexible to change, because a lot of things do not stay the same in the dental office. So you have to be flexible to change, um, and you have to be a flexible team worker, because a lot of things might not go your way. Your coworker might try things your way one time, but your way doesn't always work all the time. And that's one thing that we have to learn when we are working with other people. It's not always all about us. It's really more about how we're going to care for the patient. It's not always about that one individual. We have to be open-minded to our co-workers' opinions as well. Um, to remember, we have to be able to be flexible with their opinions and try it their way. Like I said, it's not always all about us all the time. It's mainly about how we're going to take care of that patient. How the patient see you is really important. That's another thing that I learned, because like I said, a patient do not want to come into a dental office where one of their workers, one of the employees have an attitude. Um, and the first impression is not always the right impression. That's one thing we have to remember too. The coworker may see you one day. I'm not the coworker. I'm sorry, but the patient may see you one day, and you're smiling, you're laughing, you're greeting everybody. But then that one time that you come into a stressful situation, or things are not working out like they normally would work on a normal basis, and something stressful comes up, the patient is looking at how you handle stress as well. I know that's one thing that I struggled with before, is handling stress, because um, you want to make sure that your patient is not seeing you up under. You want to make sure that your patient does not see you under stress, because that stresses them out. And so you want to make sure that they don't have nothing to worry about. Also, to be a team player, a team worker, You want to be a self-motivator. No one should have to tell you, to do your job. If you should know your job description for one thing, and no one should have to tell you, okay, let's get this done. Let's try to tackle this. We shouldn't. No one should have to tell you to do your job. You should be eager to want to do your job, and that goes along with your body language. When you stand with your hands in your pockets or your arms folded, like you don't want to do anything, or you don't want to be bothered that day, or you're not interested, that shows a lot about you, and how you carry yourself. Like I said, you want to be a self-motivator, and that goes along with being a good team worker. Because you want good people on your team that's going to be eager to work and get things done. You want to take the initiative to get things done. You don't want to always work with somebody that's always slacking, or that's going to drag their feet all the time. So you want to be a self-motivator. Your emotions. A lot of people, and I'm one person that I will admit that I do need help with taming my emotions sometimes. Some things that are not work related, they shouldn't be brought into the dental office. They should not be brought into the practice. If it's at home, leave it at home before you come into the dental office or the practice. You want to just get a clear mind, a clear conscience before you come in, and get your mindset on what you have to do for that day for work, not about what's going on at home. Do not bring the drama that you have at home or the problems that you may have at home to your practice, to your job. Taming your emotions, like I said, that is one thing I've struggled with before, because I used to wear my feelings on my sleeve, or my heart on my sleeve, should I say. And a lot of times I will always say how I feel, but not really taming my emotions. So I'm always saying, well, that hurt my feelings, or I feel like this, or I feel like that, when sometimes it's not even about me. And you can't make an issue about yourself, especially when it's not even about you. But some people do that. Some people tend to think that, like, say, for instance, for an example, a coworker is experiencing something personal at their home, or an emergency, or something that's going on in their family, and you're normally friends with this person. You all are laughing and talking to each other on a normal basis, but then they come to work and they're feeling they're to themselves that day. And you're wondering what's wrong because that person is not talking to you. It's not about you. You may feel like that person is being funny towards you, but really they're not. It's just that they may need some time, some space to themselves. So really, your emotions, you have to learn how to tame your emotions. And I speak about myself when I say that as well. How you handle stress. Like I said, patients do look at how you handle stress. That's one thing I've learned. That's another thing that I have been involved in or seen. How I handle stress, and sometimes when I'm up under pressure, I do tend to grunt and huff and puff, and that is something I am currently trying to find peace with. I'm trying to work on. So I will admit that about myself, but as an employee, you have to learn how to do that, not only at work, but you have to, like the patient looks at how you are handling yourself up under pressure. So it doesn't only work when you just at work. You have to learn how to handle pressure and stress when you're home too, because how you handle stress at home is how you handle stress at work. It's the same way. So it has to start somewhere, and mostly it has to start at home. Conflict, how you handle conflict. I've seen different conflicts in the on the job. I've seen different conflicts and mostly they're with other co-workers. They're with my co-workers. Mostly how I handle that type of conflict, I do not get involved. I don't like to be involved, or I don't like to have animosity with no one. And so I try to keep the peace, really. But that is normally how I would let my coworkers handle or resolve their conflict, is by letting them come to it themselves. I do not try to get involved in anything that does not involve me, because that's really what that is gossip. A lot of people tend to gossip about other co-workers, and then you get involved in it. You all are gossiping about that one or that particular co-worker, and I don't tend to get involved in those type of conflicts. If I was involved in a conflict myself with someone, me personally, I would like to address it head on with that person in a respectful manner. And I don't like I said, I do not like to have animosity with anyone, so I would like to address it so that we can become better co-workers. Even if we don't become best of friends, I would like to at least make sure that I have a good relationship with my co-worker on my job, so that I would not feel like I'm stressed every time I come to my job, having to deal with a certain conflict with my co-worker. So those are the things that I learned about communicating with your coworker or your colleague. Thank you.